What is up, everybody? Welcome. Another edition of Drive for Show. DFS for Dough is upon us here on Rotogrinders and live on our YouTube channel. Appreciate you checking us out, whether you are doing it live or watching it after the fact on our podcast feed. If you're watching us live on YouTube, give us the thumbs up and like and subscribe. We appreciate that very much. Helps out those old algorithms there on YouTube. So I am Justin Van Zuiden. As usual, we'll be hosting the show with my good buddy Derek Farnsworth, aka Notorious, alongside Noto. How was Ryder Cup week for you, and how you been?
Yeah, Ryder Cup, man. Week unlike any other. So much fun. It's finally good to see the U.S. win, obviously. But my favorite part, celebrations. I mean, yeah, JT and Berger drinking beers from the fans and the crowd, I thought was awesome. I mean, I've never seen anybody get as excited as JT after he chugged a beer. Although his beer chugging skills aren't great. I mean, he threw that down and there was 3/4 of that beer left. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome seeing USA win. Everyone got along. Everyone was worried about the chemistry, but when you win, that kind of, solves those things. So do you know if the Ryder Cup's next year, or are they just going to do every 2 years from here on out?
Yeah, I think they're going to go back to doing it in even years. So right now, I think it's still 2022. Oh no, never mind. Now Italy, autumn of 2023.
Okay.
That's interesting. I don't know if they're going to try to get that back on track. I mean, then the President's Cup was thrown off too, so I don't know. But Italy seems like it's been pushed to 2023.
Had such a great time watching. Texted all my guy friends and said, "Hey, we're going to the next one." And then I couldn't figure out when it was, so I gotta start planning already. Yeah.
For sure. Well, it should be a lot of fun anyway, whenever it happens to take place again here in the States. But it was a runaway freight train there for the U.S. and pretty much never in doubt. Did put in our little betting preview last week to bet the U.S. to lead after all 3 days. So that was like plus 180 odds. So that worked out pretty good. Didn't do much on the DFS side last week, but it's always fun to follow that. So that leads us into a tournament that used to be held alongside the Ryder Cup with the Sanderson Farms Championship. For years, it was held alongside like a WGC event. Then it was held alongside the Ryder Cup. Finally got its own standalone place on the PGA Tour schedule last year. So we see maybe a little bit of a stronger field. Of course, the Fortinet Championship was the first event of the fall swing before the Ryder Cup, and only Sergio Garcia, I think, participating of all the Ryder Cup players, and that's because he's the defending champion. So what do you make of the field here this week, and any comments back from the tournament 2 weeks ago, which feels like forever ago now?
Yeah, that does feel like forever ago. I don't even remember what happened really. Who ended up winning it?
Yeah, I don't remember either. And that's it was Max Homa beating out Maverick McNeely there on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, McNeely. He had a shot there and he doubled or tripled like 17 and then eagled 18, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, this week, not the best field for sure. But hey, we get DFS, we get the shot tracker, the full 4-day sweat, and we get a cut as well. So I'm excited for it. Some of those, off normal events like the Ryder Cup, they're just hard to sweat from a DFS perspective. So I'm excited for this week. The club, the course is Country Club of Jackson. It's a par 72, 7,400 yards. Historically, the fairways here pretty tough to hit, and it is tree lined, but it doesn't really matter all that much. The greens are going to get peppered. I think over the last 5 years, it's over 70% green regulation. So even if you're missing these fairways, it's not a big deal. I kind of lean towards distance over accuracy. If you are going one of those two routes, there's going to be a lot of wedges hit, between 100, 125 and 125 to 150. And you're going to have to go low each of the last 4 winners, at least 18 under par. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really looking too heavy into course fit. And we've seen some of the shorter guys like Zach Johnson play well here. We've seen some of the bombers, Cam Champ, and then Sergio. We've seen good putters, bad putters. So I don't really know if you need to do, anything specific for course type. Do you see it differently?
No, I mean, yeah, it just kind of comes down to who gets hot because there's birdies out there and there's not a lot of trouble. Like that's the issue with some of these courses. You think of the that course, that silly course they used for that tournament in Texas. I can't remember, Trinity Forest.
Trinity,
Where,
yeah.
I mean, there's just like, there's no trouble. And it's just going to come down to who can make the most 12 footers. And it makes it a little bit hard to handicap, just because it's, you know, somewhat of a matter of who gets hot. I guess from that angle, from a DFS perspective, don't be afraid to go against some chalk, and go, you know, with some kind of off the wall plays a little bit, to round out your lineups, because, you know, it's just the type of tournament that we see. And these are the events where, you know, you could look back on it on Sunday and say, oh, this guy won. Like before Garcia, like Sebastian Munoz won before he kind of became more household of a name than he is now. Cameron Champ, it was like his breakthrough victory. And before that was Ryan Armour, Cody Gribble, Peter Malnati, and Nick Taylor. I mean, those aren't exactly household names, you know, taking down this event. So, you know, that's just my take. As I guess, don't be afraid to take some lower owned plays.
Yeah, I saw Cody Gribble back in the field. I think it's the first time he's played in a couple of years. So
Yeah, he's like the bare minimum, I think, if you're interested.
and this is also the tournament where we found out Sergio putts with his eyes closed. That was news to everyone last year, and he ended up winning. So yeah, I don't really know what to do, but I do like the thought of fading some chalk, and I also like the thought of just building stars and scrubs lineups. There's so many Corn Ferry Tour graduates in that 6K, low 7K range that seem underpriced, just how well they've been playing in the summer. So I like that, and I like kind of loading up on the top guys.
Yeah, I don't mind that approach either, for sure. Just because, you know, there's not a whole lot separating some of the weaker guys in this field from those Corn Ferry Tour graduates. So we'll go back to the well with some of those guys, and some of them you might remember us talking about 2 weeks ago, and we'll talk about them again here tonight. So as for the course, it's pretty long on the scorecard, but the ball, I mean, it's generally hot down there. The ball will travel pretty good. And so I think, you know, there's quite a few par fours that are shorter, and really distance isn't paramount here. If you look at some of the past, you know, Malnati isn't long off the tee, and Champ is. So it's like, you know, like you hit on, different types of golfers can succeed here, all about getting hot and making birdies. So what do you make of the course, outside of, you know, it kind of being a crapshoot as far as just the general layout?
Yeah, you mentioned it, 7,400 yards seems long, but there are 4 par 5s, and like you mentioned, the ball will fly pretty far, and the fact that some of the shorter guys off the tee, you know, have been able to contend and win here. I just don't think length is really a must, but I don't think it hurts either. So you're gonna be able to play out the rough. So either keep it in the fairway and be short, or just try to bomb it out there. And like you said, make a lot of 12 to 15 footers, because everyone's gonna have them.
That is correct. All right, let's go ahead and start digging in here. We've got 144 golfers in the field. As of the time we're taping this, I got to add the Monday qualifiers into Lineup HQ yet, but otherwise we got the other 140 all in there. So the top is interesting. Like, it's a weak field. You got Sergio, who I mentioned playing, defending champ, coming off the Ryder Cup. You know, he probably wouldn't be here otherwise. Sam Burns is the betting favorite, and you got Zalatoris, Im, and Connors as your other options above 10K on DraftKings. And with this field getting so thin in a hurry, it feels like you got to try to spend up for one guy. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think my favorite's gonna be Zalatoris, but my main line is probably gonna have two of these guys. Like I said, I like the stars and scrubs approach a little bit this week. And yeah, the 9Ks are fine, the 8Ks are fine, but I don't really think you need to balanced approach, because you're going to get a lot of guys in that 6Ks that make the cut. I do think it's going to be one of the more volatile weeks. So I like Zalatoris. I mean, he's been playing well after he withdrew from the Open. He ended up coming 8th the next time out, and then T11 at the Fortinet. So he's at least in good form. I like that he's played the course before. His biggest weakness, I would say, is driving accuracy. And again, I don't think that really matters as much this week. So I like him. Sung Jae seems very safe. He's a guy that keeps it in the fairway. The irons have been a lot better recently. He's a really good putter. And then Corey Connors, I like him as well. Second place here in 2018. He's a much better putter on Bermuda. So if you do like to look at those splits, we know the ball striking is going to be there. A guy that very long off the tee, and he's pretty straight too. So you get the total driving, you get the good irons, and then if you could just find a putter, and Bermuda, obviously his best surface. So I like those three. Don't know what to do with Sergio. Obviously, he was in great form. He played pretty well at the Ryder Cup, but I got to think he's gassed. So I'll probably be off of him. He's going to have some extra obligations in terms of the media since he's a defending champ as well. And then Burns, I mean, him being the most expensive guy just doesn't feel right. So I don't know if I can get to the field on him.
I agree. I just did 11K for him is just I couldn't do it either. Like, give me Zalatoris or him. Connors always worries me in these tournaments where it's going to come down to who can make the most 12 to 15 footers. Like, that's almost never going to be him. I don't care if he's on his best surface or not.
See, but he's going to be 6 to 8 footers, and everyone else is going to be 12.
That's
15.
fair. That's fair. Then that makes it even. He's got the same odds from 6 to 8 feet that everyone else has from 12 feet. But yeah, I mean, he's going to give himself plenty of opportunities. Hard to argue with that for sure. I'm out on Garcia. I don't see it. I don't see him being, 100% focused this week, but that's probably, I mean, a lot of people are probably going to go along that same line of thinking. So maybe you get him at lower ownership, but I think I'm out on him here. All right, let's move into the 9Ks. Always a big fan of Mito Pereira. I've played him pretty much every week. He's played on the PGA Tour. Did have a good third place finish at the Fortinet Championship a couple weeks ago. And don't be fooled if you look at the player cards on DraftKings. They don't have that first fall swing tournament loaded on the player cards yet. So just make sure you're not forgetting about that. But Mito did finish third in that event. However, he comes with a higher price tag now, up to $9,900 on DK. We've got Keegan Bradley, Siwoo Kim, Cameron Tringali, Munoz, Varner. Again, guys that were generally in the 7 or 8Ks that are in the 9Ks this week. And that's why, to me, you just maybe want to start with one of the 10K guys. But I do like Mito at 9,900. I think Varner at 9,200 will be somewhat popular after, he was pretty popular at the Fortinet Championship too a couple weeks back. So your thoughts on the 9K range?
Yeah, I mean, this is the range that has burned me in the past. I mean, Cam Davis has missed so many cuts, Varner, Keegan Bradley, just all the guys that I play on a weekly basis that never seem to work out for me. So I like the Mito call. He will be pretty popular. But you mentioned it, the form, he's got 3 top 6s in his last 5 starts. He hasn't played here before, but I'm not worried about that. We saw Sergio win this event in his debut. So I like him. I like the guy at the very bottom of the range, Charlie Hoffman. He's actually second in my model this week. So for me, that screams value. He's going to be popular as well. But man, I mean, he's a good total driver of the ball. He's one of the better iron players. He's first in this field in birdie or better percentage. He's played here twice, T6, T23. It's hard for me to find anything bad to say about him. So he's one of those guys that I'll eat the chalk and just go overweight on him. The rest of the range, I don't have a strong take on. I mean, I can't play Siwoo at this price. Munoz feels a little bit overpriced. Varner's been playing well, but anytime you expect him to continue to play well, that's kind of when he bites you. So, yeah, I don't really have a strong take. It's a good course fit for Cam Davis, but he hasn't been great since he won. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other?
Yeah, and I think Davis is a little bit overpriced too. I agree on Hoffman. These are just the types of events where he tends to, you get a birdie fest. He tends to play well in these types of tournaments, always plays well in the South. It seems like a little bit too. And then, if you sort last 50 rounds, first in total strokes gained, 5th in tee to green, 3rd in ball striking, 1st in approach, 1st in fantasy scoring. So really the short game has been the only thing that's been even just average over the last 50 rounds. So I can see why Hoffman rates out really well in your model. Yeah, I got no problem with him either. I hadn't scrolled down to see him at 9K there on DraftKings when I was just reading off the list. So yeah, he's probably my favorite in there too.
What about Tringali? I mean, 9,400, a guy that's always pretty popular. He's lost off the tee in 9 of his last 10. I don't know if that's we expect that to continue, because for a while there he turned into a really good driver of the ball, but that's kind of scaring me on a course like this.
Yeah, and I think I'm just at that price. I probably would lean Munoz over him, about the same ownership at this point. Munoz in a little bit better form. And Tringali, I mean, that price, I guess you can say the same with Munoz, but just hard for me to get on board at that price. So, yeah, I think I'm out on Tringali here.
Yeah. Give me the bookends of this range, Mito and Hoffman.
Yeah, fair enough. We are pretty much in agreement, total agreement on that range. So while I'm thinking about it, and before we forget, we do a prize picks segment on this show. You can sign up at prizepicks.com or download the app. Use promo code grinders with your first deposit and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And Noto made the picks this week. So this is all on him. And he told me he took an over. He never takes an over. So I asked him if he was feeling okay. He seems to be doing all right. But what do you got this week?
Yeah. You asked me if I was sick, and I think I'm getting some for my little one. So that's got to be the reason for, getting the over. But I got Matthew Wolf with the over at 34.5. Just one of those guys. He's had 2 top 20s since last October. Obviously, he hasn't been playing a ton of golf, but his game could be anywhere. He could come out and win. He could come out and miss the cut. I think pretty likely he finishes outside the top 35. And then under 20.5 for Hoffman. That one seems pretty straightforward. Number 2 in my model. So, if you're looking at just straight rankings, that's much higher than 20.5. And Zach Johnson, I think he's fine to make the cut. He's played out well here in the past. He typically makes most cuts, especially in these weak fields. So as long as he doesn't blow up on the weekend, I think 50.5 is a pretty good number.
All right. So again, check out Prize Picks. 50.5. That is a pretty good number there. Promo code grinders, first deposit, 100% bonus up to $100. Pretty good platform there. They've really made some strides over the last few months. So check them out, prizepicks.com, or download the app. All right, let's get back to it here and get into the 8K range. And this is where I think a lot of lineups, you'll see people maybe get some 2v2s. Gim always tends to be a little bit popular. Patton Kazire has had his moments over the summer. Wolf and Woodland are names that people are familiar with. Carlos Ortiz has some good course history here. Seamus Power had a pretty good summer. Grillo with the ball striking. So I don't think there's anybody in here that profiles as an absolute must play. But yet there's a lot of names that people are familiar with. So that's going to leave you with a lot of guys at like 8, 10, maybe up to about 12% ownership, but nobody that's like, screaming out into the 20s in the 8K range. Maybe throw Aaron Wise in that mix as a guy who's going to get some love too this week. So I don't have a lot of strong takes in this range. I mean, I think Ortiz is fine. Another guy who tends to play better in the South. But I don't love a whole lot in here, but it's just hard to find somebody who say, oh yeah, I want to pay 8+ for that guy.
Yeah, you can make an argument. Wolf could be 7,000. Gary Woodland, both those guys just haven't shown anything recently. I think single entry and cash games, I'm skipping over this entire range. I think there's just as good of plays in the 7Ks and then some good plays in the 6Ks, which we'll talk about too. So I'm skipping over this range for my main lineup. But I mean, Strillman seems pretty safe if you want to look at him. You got Seamus Power, who's been in great form. He even picked up a win a couple months ago. So I don't mind going back to him. Emiliano Grillo he's missed like 6 of 8 cuts, which is kind of wild for him. It's hard to see him really winning an event where you have to putt well. So yeah, I don't love anything. I like Wise a little bit. I like Ortiz a little bit, but yeah, we're not getting any sort of discount ownership because they're really the only guys that stand out here. Maybe a little Patton Kazire, a guy that's good on Bermuda. And his biggest weakness, similar to Zalatoris, is his driving accuracy. So don't have to worry about that as long as he can get out there. I think he could make a lot of birdies.
All right. Probably Ortiz. Kazire I will have in my player pool. I don't mind Matthias Schwab at 8K, a guy who's played a lot on the European Tour, not a household name. Not a lot of people know about him, but he's trying to follow that similar path that we've seen with a few golfers to come over and play more on the PGA Tour. He's got a pretty good game. Played pretty well at the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. And I believe a 12th place finish at the BMW PGA Championship, which is a pretty strong field event that's played overseas a few weeks ago. So if you're wanting somebody that's just going to get ignored because not a lot of people know that much about him, at 3% ownership, he went to college at Vanderbilt, so that's in the area. Played in the SEC, so tends to maybe have some familiarity with these types of courses. So it's a little bit speculative, but I don't mind him at 8,000.
I like that call.
Yeah, that's hey, we're grasping a little bit for options in that mid range, so that's another thing that makes him maybe a little more appealing for me. All right, let's go ahead and move into the 7Ks, where again you're gonna get a lot of people that skip over the 8Ks and say, well, I'll just play, somebody in here. Stallings profiles pretty well. Reeve finished pretty well at the Fortinet Championship 28th. You mentioned Zach Johnson in the PrizePicks segment, Patrick Rogers, Luke List, Lanto Griffin. Like, these are guys that people know about. And then you start to get into the Korn Ferry Tour grads in the lower part of the 7Ks. But your favorites in kind of that 75 to 7,900 range.
Favorite by far is going to be Taylor Pendrith, one of the Korn Ferry graduates that has seen some action on the PGA Tour. If you just look at his numbers over the last 44 events, 86% cut rate, 66% finished in the top 25%. Granted, a lot of those were Korn Ferry Tour, but I think this course is perfect for him. He averaged like 325 off the tee on the Korn Ferry Tour, and in his short stint on the PGA Tour, he's gaining like 5 strokes off the tee every time he tees it up. So 7,800. I think he was 10 grand or something at the Fortinet. I think it's a good discount in his price. A little bit higher.
Who was 10K?
Pendrith. He was like 9 something. Maybe
was
not.
he really?
I thought he was like the one guy that I just couldn't get to that I wanted to play. I could be wrong on that.
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't have any recollection.
Is a long time.
Like, yeah. I know 2 weeks is just forever. Anyway, he's cheaper now. That's for sure.
Cheaper, better course fit, I think. So he's my favorite. I think Bramlett's a little bit interesting. And some of the old grinders like Zach Johnson, Brendan Todd, Chris Kirk, I just don't know if they have the upside I'm looking for. I mean, I think they're all fine to make the cut. I'll probably play some Patrick Rogers. He's been playing some good golf. If you want a guy that bombs it and puts it, he's kind of that guy. And he no longer sucks on Bermuda courses. That was kind of my bugaboo with him for the longest time, but he's actually turned into a pretty good putter on Bermuda. So yeah, give me Pendrith and Rogers for my favorite 2 in that range.
All right, interesting takes. I don't mind Rogers for sure at 7,600. I think that's pretty reasonable. And these tournaments where there's more birdies, less trouble, those tend to be the ones where he excels also.
All right, Bill Tomas in the chat is saying 7,500 for Pendrith, so maybe I'm way off on this.
Yeah, I thought he was, kind of maybe more expensive than some of the other guys, but
only a couple grand off.
Maybe it was 10K on FanDuel. In any case, all right, we move on to the lower end of the 7K range. Don't love a lot in here. Brant Snedeker really likes this course, and he did okay over the summer. Taylor Moore was one of the popular Korn Ferry Tour grads. He was a little more expensive last time as well and did not play well. So, I mean, it's one tournament, and if people are going to overreact to that, I don't mind him at 7,100. Aaron Rye is another guy that people targeted a couple weeks ago. Chad Ramey is another one of the web.com grads. Like, I don't mind going back to some of the golfers that burned people at the Fortinet Championship just because, it's only one event and it's a weak field. So don't be afraid, make your lineups a little bit different in this kind of unpredictable tournament. So those are a few of mine in the lower 7K range. Who do you got?
Yeah, I like Chad Ramey quite a bit. Missed a cut on the number at the Fortinet. And he's made 91% of his cuts over the last 2 years between all the tours he's been playing. So I like that quite a bit. I don't mind the Taylor Moore call as well. Adam Svensson's another guy that graduated. He's had some experience on the PGA Tour as well. And then if you want to play the Euro route, Lucas Herbert, really good ball striker. It won't show up in his numbers, on the PGA Tour, but good ball striker over there. So don't mind going that route. And then Lanto Griffin, he seems too cheap. I don't know what to do with him. Just one of those guys that should be priced up there with Sebastian Munoz, I think, on a normal week.
Yeah. And, he's a little more hit or miss, inconsistent. So, but you do get a nice discount on that at his salary. So don't mind that there. Matt Wallace, another guy that inconsistent, unpredictable, but I don't mind taking some shots on in GPPs. Before we get to the end of the show, we will do our Guess the Golfer segment. We'll go ahead and let you guys start throwing in some guesses. So again, that would be our favorite kind of punt level value play that isn't going to get a ton of ownership. For the Fortinet, that was Nick Hardy. We both like Nick Hardy again, and we didn't figure like we should use the same pick twice. So it would have probably been Nick Hardy again, but that didn't feel right. So it's going to be somebody else. Throw some guesses in there if you're watching us live on YouTube. Favorite sub 7K value of the week. We'll see if anybody can hit on who our favorite play is. But yeah, I mean, we both liked Hardy at the Fortinet Championship. Really consistent guy on the Korn Ferry Tour last year. Came out, finished, 28th or so. Solid week. Had one of the better rounds on Saturday after, making the cut. So I have no problem going back to the well again. He's $21 on Yahoo. He's 6,900 on DraftKings. He's 7,800 on FanDuel. He's, I feel like he's one of the better values there. So your thoughts on Hardy?
Yeah, a lot of green in my point per dollar rankings on all three sites. So agree with you there. I think we owe him a gift basket or something too, because he broke the Guess a Golfer curse.
He broke the streak of a long route of drought of misses.
Yeah, so I think he's interesting. I think Adam. Well, I almost gave away our guy. There's a first clue. First name of Adam.
That's going to narrow it down real easy for the people.
Yeah, well, that kind of loses my train of thought there. Not a lot of guys that I like in this range. Sahith Theegala does have a couple top tens. I think they were both on the Korn Ferry Tour, and then T47 his last time out. We've seen him pop up, be like first round leader, and then kind of just go away. So I think he's interesting in what could be a birdie fest. And then the other guys I like are below 6,500.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Hardy is definitely my favorite in that range.
Yes, I didn't give it away. Hadwin was the guess.
Oh, is he he's boy, well, how times have changed. He's in the field. No, let's see. Is he in the field? Yes, he is. He's 7K. Times have changed. I don't mind JT Poston, Southern guy. Again, not a lot of trouble on this course. The form, it make you cover your eyes, but you got to throw some darts, I think, in this tournament, and wouldn't surprise me if he misses a cut. Wouldn't surprise me if he contends. So give me Poston at 6,600 as kind of a dart throw GPP guy. Andrew Sable gets the guess with Adam Schenk. Congrats, you get a free week of Rotogrinders Premium if you're not already a premium subscriber. Our producer Eli will hook you up with the contacts that you need to get that handled. So yeah, Adam Schenk, I mean, we used to make fun of him that he was the guy to always get you a 50th place, but now he's shown a little more upside than that recently. And in a weak field with a lot of birdies, you kind of just need somebody who's going to go out and make some cuts. And Adam Schenk is certainly capable of doing that. Last 4 years at this event, 43rd, 7th, 36th, 32nd. So he's made the cut every year, gained quite a few strokes on the field. So Adam Schenk at 6,700 is our guest, the golfer winner this week. So congrats to Andrew for his victory.
I wonder what odds I can get on him to finish between 30th and 46th this week, because that's
minus 300. That's where he goes.
And he'll outscore his finishing position because he makes a lot of birdies. But yeah, he just seems like the safest play by far in the 6Ks. Yeah,
stats are basically if you look at total strokes gained over the last 2 months, the only player below 7K that's above him is Brian Stewart. Then it's Schenk, and then it's Vincent Whaley after that. So for what it's worth, form isn't bad. All right, you mentioned you had a few under 6,500. Who's the dumpster divers this week?
So my favorite is Alex Smalley. I was reading about his story today. So he was a Duke graduate, one of the better prospects, and then came out and just couldn't get it done on the Korn Ferry Tour. So he was grinding the mini tours. Ended up Monday qualifying for a PGA Tour event, and somehow made his way to the Korn Ferry Championship and secured his card. So 3 months ago he was on the mini tours, and now he has a PGA Tour card, and I think he's made 4 or 5 straight cuts on the PGA Tour. So a guy that was really good in college, kind of finally breaking out of his shell in the majors. So I like Smalley quite a bit. the chat mentioned, Vanderwald. He's been pretty good recently. 4 top 25s in his last 5 starts. I don't mind looking at that. He's a pretty good putter. And then at the very bottom, min salary, Paul Barjon, recently won on the Corn Ferry Tour. He had a T4 as well a couple weeks back. So if you need a super punt, just another one of those Corn Ferry guys that at least has some upside.
Yeah, I'll throw Davis Thompson into the punt mix as well. He's a guy who was somewhat popular over the summer as kind of the flash in the pan value. Didn't really pan out in a lot of those events, but did make a few cuts, 4 in a row before missing the cut at the Wyndham. So, hey, 6,100, you could do worse with a few dart throws in some GPP builds. So let's see, anyone else that hits you? I'm trying to kind of go through ownership here to see. We've got Joel Damon at about 7%, Jaeger at about 6%, Mac Hughes, CT Pan at about 5%. And otherwise, I think we've hit on pretty much everyone else. Anybody that you think you'll definitely be underweight on this week?
I'm going to be underweight on Wolf, CT Pan, Doug Gim, Munoz, I think, Siwoo Kim. And then Mike Campbell asked, what do you think the 66 percentage is going to be?
Well, there's only 144 golfers instead of 156. So in theory, the odds are better for any individual golfer to make the cut because there's 12 fewer golfers than in a full field event. So that helps. But the tournament is also a bit unpredictable. I mean, in some of the chalk bombs, then, you're going to see it tank. So I don't know, smaller field. I don't expect all of the chalk to bomb here because of the gap in talent between the top and the bottom of this field. So let's say 7%. That's my official over under 6.5%.
I like it. I was going to say 8% for the field and 1% for my lineups.
Noto is setting the bar high right off the bat for sure.
You just want to sweat, just get one
right.
spot.
Just takes one lineup and that might be the one. I was in that position a few weeks back. Only had one lineup with a shot and it almost came through. So you just never know. Again, don't be afraid to take a few chances in this. It's a pretty weak field. We went through it pretty quick. So it's because it's pretty easy to narrow the golfer pool. I mean, a lot of times, major strong field events, you see people, well, I got 60 guys in my player pool, 50 guys in my player pool. It shouldn't be as hard to condense it. I'd imagine most people that have trouble doing that, you're not going to have as much trouble this week compared to some of the others. So just my 2 cents on general lineup building thoughts this week. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
It's probably a good week to grind some showdown contests. Everyone's going to be gearing up for NFL, college football. So the weekend, I think there might be a little bit of an edge if you put in some extra time for those showdown lineups.
And if you want content for those other sports, you can sign up for Rotogrinders Premium. You can get the combo package, which includes everything pretty much except NASCAR. Or you can do single sport or pick the sports that you want. Flexible to sign up for that premium content however you want to do it. We'll have Eli drop a link in the chat. Get you $10 off your first month of a single sport package or a combo package. And we encourage you to check it out and appreciate you checking us out here live and watching along with us as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up a little bit earlier this week with the underwhelming field, but that's okay. We'll give you some time back. And we got the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open in Las Vegas next week, followed by the CJ Cup, which is also going to be played in Vegas, though at a different course. And then the Zozo Championship and the Bermuda Championship to round out the month of October. So we'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place, and available on demand. For Noto and our producer, Eli, I am Justin. Have a great week, everybody, and we will catch you next time. Take care.